Good evening. I'd like to call the November 10th, 2025 Planning and Zoning meeting to order, please. Commissioner Grossi, will you lead us in the pledge? Thank you. Good evening. My name is Sandy Griffiths, and I'm the chairperson of the Planning and Zoning Commission. I will be presiding over the Commission's deliberations on hearing items this evening. The Planning and Zoning Commission sits in an advisory capacity to the Town Council. As such, the Commission reviews planning and zoning issues and forwards recommendations regarding these important issues to the Council. All members are appointed by the Council, and we volunteer our time. This evening's proceedings will be conducted as follows. First, I will read the public hearing item into record. Staff will then present the agenda item. The Commission will question staff. The applicant will be invited to address the Commission and answer any questions from the Commission. The floor will then be open to comments from the public regarding the applicable hearing item. After all pre-registered commenters have spoken, I will call for any additional speakers who wish to make comment to come to the podium. After public comment has been closed, the item will then return to the applicant for clarification or comment, then to the Commission for comments. This is a discussion item only this evening. There will be no vote or recommendation for moving this forward to Town Council. Item 3, agenda item 3, roll call. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Chairperson Griffiths.
Here.
Vice Chair Erb.
Here.
Commissioner Colosimo.
Here.
Commissioner Huot.
Here.
Commissioner King.
Here.
Commissioner Grossi.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Clerk. Agenda item 4, call to the public. If you wish to speak during the call to the public or on the public hearing items this evening on tonight's agenda, please make sure that you have pre-registered your name with the clerk. When you are recognized by the clerk, please come to the microphone, state your name and address. I ask that you direct your pertinent comments to the Commission through the chairperson and not to staff or individuals within the audience. After all pre-registered speaker comments, I will then call for additional non-registered speakers wishing to speak to the podium. A 3-minute time limit will be imposed. I would like to express tonight, in advance of the Commission's appreciation for fostering an atmosphere of respect and cordiality this evening. That's extremely important. At this time, any member of the public is allowed to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any issue within the jurisdiction of the Commission or any item on the agenda except for those items scheduled for a public hearing at this meeting, as you will have the opportunity to then speak during the public hearing. Pursuant to the Arizona Open Meeting Law, at the conclusion of call to the public, individual members of the Commission may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the Commission and may ask staff to review the matter or may ask that the matter be placed on a future agenda. However, members of the Commission shall not discuss or take legal action on matters raised during an open call to the public unless matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. Clerk, do we have any call to the public?
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes, Commissioner Colosimo.
I need to address the commission as well as the audience.
Absolutely, sir.
Dear Planning and Zoning Commissioners, Town of Prescott Valley, and people of Prescott Valley, there is a political group in Prescott Valley that has informed the town manager that they believe I have a conflict of interest in regards to agenda item GPA 25-001, the Government Tank Bureau Pit, because of the location of my home in Stone Ridge. I want to be clear that I disagree with their perceived conflict of interest, as I see it as an intimidation tactic, including their threats of litigation upon me personally, to keep me out of the vote on this issue. That said, I am brand new to this commission, and I do not wish to bring any perception of impropriety towards my fellow commissioners or the town of Prescott Valley. I also want the citizens of Prescott Valley to know that my judgment and decisions can be trusted to be in their best interest in the future. Therefore, I will regrettably recuse myself from any participation in the hearing and any discussion of this agenda item today, or the hearing, discussion, and recommendation vote planned for next month. Thank you.
Clerk, will you please have the record show that Commissioner Colosimo has recused himself? And for clarification, this is for agenda item 7A, GPA 25-001. Clerk, do we have public comment?
Yes, we have 7 registered. First up is Chuck Gorman, followed by Sandy Graham.
Hello. I think that's probably good. My name is Chuck Gorman. I live here in Prescott Valley. You mentioned address. Do you need anything further than that?
I'm sorry, sir.
When you were discussing the public comments, you mentioned that we had to say our address. Do you need that?
Yes, please, your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name again is Charles Gorman. I live at 1896 Fitzmaurice View Court in Prescott Valley. I am here tonight to express my full support for Commissioner Colosimo. Like me, Joe is not motivated by property values or personal gain. We both plan to stay in our homes for the rest of our lives. We care about this community because it's our home, not an investment. Recently, Sandra Graham and Prescott Valley Citizens Alliance have written to the town manager and town council demanding Commissioner Colosimo's recusal, alleging a conflict of interest related to his home value, as he just stated. Not only are those claims false, I'm also deeply concerned about the tactics being used against him. The threats and personal attacks directed at his livelihood and career are completely unacceptable. No one who volunteers their time and expertise to serve this town should face intimidation for doing so. Not only are those claims false, I already said that one, many members of the PVCA and those others opposed to the proposed quarries at Government Tank have spread incorrect information about both Commissioner Colosimo and the nature of local quarrying operations. They've claimed residents will die from silica posing and that their homes will collapse from blasting. None of these are true. The ongoing operations at the base of Glassford Hill Road demonstrate that these fears are unfounded. Note also that the operations conducted by AP&S Asphalt Paving and Supply at the bottom of Glassford Hill are not run in any way similar to what we've seen at the CEMEX or Vulcan facilities near Highway 89A. Under no circumstances should anybody's ability to provide for their family or continue their career be threatened by the kinds of falsehoods and personal attacks being promoted by the Not a Government Tank group. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I believe Sandy Graham was next.
Good evening, Chair and Commission. I'm Sandy Graham, and I'm speaking on behalf of Prescott Valley Citizens Alliance Board of Directors. We have a considerable concern about allowing a rezoning change from RL 70 residential single-family limited to IG industrial general for aggregate mining operation within Prescott Valley town boundaries as requested by the landowner. The objectives in Prescott Valley Town Zoning Code in Chapter 13 are not met if this rezoning is changed to industrial general. Objectives are to preserve the beauty of the community, to protect the land and building values in the town, ensuring that zoning is compatible activity within the town limits. These are just a few that must be considered if you are following the written code of the town. Not only is this action a rezoning, but a major plan amendment. Amending the general plan is a severe action. One could interpret this amendment change as failing to meet the town zoning code objectives in Chapter 13, which was just updated December 11th, 2024. The voters approved the latest general plan in 2022. The town and the applicant must demonstrate conformance of the general plan. Your decision must not adversely impact the community as a whole or a portion of the community. Voters are anticipating zoning to be compatible with surrounding land uses. Mining within the town limits is not an improvement to the general plan. The parcel 402-14-004 is a village planned area development, A1, which was planned as a low-density neighborhood with walking trails, neighborhood centers, public gathering places with schools, community facilities, and shopping services. This PAD would be compatible with the future Stone Ridge development, as well as our neighbors, just a short distance to the east and not much more distance to the northeast. If this zoning to industrial general is recommended by you, this will open the door for others to expect industrial mining within town boundaries. This would be set a very poor precedent. And I'd also like to note that the applicant's narrative under general plan amendment request states that they are requesting a minor general plan amendment. We all know this is incorrect. We are asking that you take our concerns and your due diligently seriously and vote no on rezoning and major amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Graham. I'd like to ask this evening that we please withhold any applause, yelling. We're all adults, and I would like to maintain decorum for the session this evening, so thank you very much. Clerk, our other speakers, please.
Tammy Rossi and William Hathaway.
Commission members and neighbors, my name is Tammy Rossi. I live at 1394 North Cloud Cliff Pass in Prescott Valley. I moved to Prescott Valley in 1982 and in Stone Ridge since 2015. I have no health issues related to silica or dust of any kind, even though I live close to the present AP&S quarry. My home property value has increased by 90% over the last 10 years. My close friend, Joe Colosimo, who showed us how an ethical public official should act this evening, shared with me that his home has increased in value by almost the same percent over an even shorter time. That should show the lie that he and any of us living in Stone Ridge are afraid of losing money because of an expansion on the AP&S facility near our Stone Ridge homes. It is an argument based on fear and emotion by a group of people who have fought against the last 3 major development projects in Prescott Valley in the same ways. All we are asking is for you to decide based on facts and what is best for the residents of Prescott Valley instead of fear and misinformation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rossi. Mr. Matt Hathaway?
Good afternoon. I want to thank you first, all of you, for your voluntary service to
Mr.
Prescott
Hathaway,
Valley.
will you pull the mic up, please, to your, thank you so much.
Yes. Can you ever hear me now? Okay. Thank you all. And thank you as well, Joe. I was especially happy to see you here tonight. I've worked with you on
nice
another
to see
advisory
you.
committee, and your service over the years is truly legendary. Thank you very much. I had originally registered to speak with respect to the topic of Mr. Colissimo's possible recusal. So at this point, I no longer need to make comments, though I wish to personally say I find your reasoning laudable. I just didn't agree with it. And I do have some specific comments that I have reserved for later with respect to the agenda items. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hathaway. Clerk, our next speakers, please.
David Larner and Patricia Butts-Holt.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dave Larner. I live at 7444 East Weaver Way in Prescott Valley. I'm going to make some points and some observations regarding the government tank gravel pit.
Dave, if you could speak into the microphone.
Okay,
Thank
how's this?
you. Perfect.
I can pull it off and walk around. I feel better when I walk around.
Thank you.
So, a couple observations. Most of the group, the PBCA, that is leading the charge against government tank locations are not residents of Prescott Valley. They are residents of Dewey, yet they seem to feel entitled to tell us what is best for Prescott Valley, and for me personally, what is best for Stone Ridge residents. My understanding is that the gravel pit is a binary choice. The front entrance of Stone Ridge and the land around Fane Park will be the legal choice if government tank is not chosen. There is no third option. PBCA is a group of people funded by some entity that has no interest in the betterment of Prescott Valley. They are a no-growth group that has already shut down the Amazon expansion. If Prescott Valley doesn't grow, it dies. Dewey citizens need to worry about their community, not ours. PBCA's 16-page opposition report was extremely slanted towards the preferences of the home in Dewey, and there was not a single mention of concern for the homes in Stone Ridge and Victorian Estates that will be affected. A conservative estimate would be 200-plus homes in PV versus 20 homes in Dewey. Squeaky wheel gets the oil. There's no mention of the fact that the Fanes have bent over backwards to try and find a solution. Instead of the Fanes having been accused of dividing the community, which is 100% incorrect, it's PBCA that is driving the community, that is dividing them. In fact, the Fanes have offered the land around Fane Park to the town of Prescott Valley if the government tank gravel pit is approved. Obviously, there are details to be worked out. That's a win for Prescott Valley and the surrounding towns. One of the arguments that the PBCA uses is that the 2035 general plan already has been approved. As we all know, plans are necessary to run a business, a government, a family trip, etc. Plans are not enshrined in stone and can and must be altered based on changing situations. And if they are not changed, it could be detrimental. I don't need to tell you that to threaten a lawsuit against a person just because they have a different, well-informed opinion is evil. Are these the type of people you want representing Prescott Valley? I would like you to please recommend Government Tank to Prescott Valley Town Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Patricia Betzold.
Patricia Betzold, 391 Armitage Way in Chino Valley. I wanted to address the importance of our General Plan 2035 that we all voted for in 2022. One of the key protections that the General Plan gives all of us, especially if we're homeowners, is ensuring that we do not have incompatible zoning next to each other. In this particular case, I know people are talking about the mine, that's one example, but industrial in general is a very difficult land use and is not suitable for residential areas. And I don't think there's any way around that. But I wanted to talk a little bit how the town in 2022, actually we were very proud of them at the time, they stopped a proposed operation because it was inconsistent with the general plan and inconsistent with the strategic plan that was intended to create a fresh vision for our community. And if any operations on a particular piece of land appears to threaten other town improvements and quality of life, that's a big deal in the plan, then the staff in this particular case was informing the applicant that they would consider any legally available actions needed to protect its interests and the interests of the citizens of the town. Unfortunately, later, there seems to be a change in attitude in the town where a decision was made and a deal was made to exchange a change to one property in exchange for another, which didn't happen to be in a more popular and successful area. I'll just say that. I don't want to pick out a specific project. But the concern here is that the person representing the town at the time did not ask its citizens what they should do. They took it upon themselves. They took the right of the people to be represented, because this was not even an elected official, and went forward with the plan, which proved to be extremely divisive. And they did it not because of quality of life and not because of the citizens, but to save a park. And for us, it's very concerning when we put a park in front of people's lives, people's homes, their children, and their quality of life. So I just wanted to share that today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Betzel. Clerk, do we have any other registered speakers for call to the public?
Chris Russo.
Yeah, good evening, Commissioner. Good evening, all you commissioners as well. My name is Chris Russo. I live at 6430 East Kilkenny in Prescott Valley, and I'm just here to voice my support for Government Tank. The necessity to have this rock that they need for as aggregate for building in Prescott Valley for the asphalt is only available at 2 spaces, and that's Government Tank or in Stone Ridge. And because I don't necessarily live in Stone Ridge, but I am supportive of the people in Stone Ridge to have the freedom to make a decision that affects them and them alone. So I am, again, I am for Government Tank.
Thank you, Mr. Russo. Clerk, do we have any other registered speakers?
Ken Freund.
Thank you, Planning and Zoning Commission and the public. My name's Ken Freund, and I live in Mingus West in Prescott Valley, and I come here tonight as a very concerned private citizen of Prescott Valley. I wish to speak about a serious breach of conduct by Mr. Colosimo. He has been conducting a series of public meetings lobbying for the government tank quarry rezoning. These were held at various locations throughout town, including Stonebridge, Victorian Estates, and Quailwood. But these were done as a private citizen. Since he was appointed by the town council as a commissioner, he has conducted another such meeting campaigning for the government tank quarry. This was held at the Crystal Room here in the library last Friday, after he was a commissioner. This is improper and unacceptable, and is a violation of the ethics policy. This type of activity by a commissioner reflects poorly not only on Mr. Colosimo, but on the integrity of the entire commission and therefore the town. He should not only recuse himself, but he should resign to preserve the reputation of the P&Z. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Freund. Clerk, any other call to the public?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. If there's anybody else in the audience that did not register for call to the public, you're welcome to come to the microphone. Are there any other speakers? Yes, Ms. Bear, come to the microphone, please.
Good evening, Board of Adjustment.
Bear,
My name is Bear Shimon.
Excuse me, we're Planning and Zoning Commission.
Well, it's close. I do know my address. I live at 7699 East Bravo Lane. I'm affectionately known as the cheerful capitalist. I have lived and prospered in Stone Ridge since 2009. There are no dead bunny bodies littered. My neighbors are not falling to their knees. I don't gasp for breath. I look to you and to town staff to obviously make this decision, but the furor surrounding this just isn't Prescott Valley. It's not how we interact. It's not how I choose to live. I want to see Prescott Valley prosper. I want good jobs to come here. We are growing. We will be growing. I lived in Surprise, and Surprise has made some dramatic improvements. Prescott Valley is going to change. But I truly believe in the United States, property rights are important. This project has been researched and looked at, and it is going to be either government tank or the site much closer to another residential community. Stone Ridge has not suffered. Prescott Valley will not suffer. And I look forward to this project going forward so that we can enjoy prosperity and a happy future in our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Bear. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to make comment during call to the public?
Is this for the zoning?
No, sir.
Combining both?
No, sir. Tonight's agenda item 7A is a public hearing item on the general plan amendment only. No zoning tonight. There's one call to the public, which is what we're doing now, and then during the agenda item, there's also public comment that we welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Rossi. Got it. Any other public that would like to make comment? Thank you. No. Item 5, announcements. I would proudly like to recognize Officer Shea, Prescott Valley Police Department, who's with us this evening. Thank you. You're a blessing to our community, Officer Shea. We love you. Approval of the minutes from the September 8th, 2025 regular meeting of Planning and Zoning, agenda item 6A. Do we have a motion for approval of the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Hewitt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice Chair Erb. By voice vote, all of those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nay? Thank you. The minutes pass. Agenda item 7. This is our public hearing item this evening. 7A, GPA 25-001, Government Tank Borrow Pit. This is the first public hearing item. And again, this is a discussion-only item. There will be no vote from the Planning and Zoning Commission. So making the presentation this evening, Ms. Stacy Bristow, would you like to make comment prior? Thank you, Stacy.
Is this on? Oh, perfect. Okay. I'm the Interim Development Services Director, Stacy Bristow. I've met some of you, so thank you for showing up. I first want to say thank you to Chris, my staff, working really hard on this project, so thank you for that, Chris. I wanted to welcome the newbies, and thank you all for your service and your volunteerism, so thank you for all of that, and thank you for the town staff as well. Also want to thank the community. Input's important to us, so we appreciate it regardless of what side you're on. We appreciate the feedback. I do want to let you know that we are still getting information in emails and calls and letters and different things, and if your information did not make it to the board tonight, it will be in the next packet. We did have to cut it off at some point because we had to walk out the door and be here, but I don't want you to feel like we weren't gathering the information. So if your information wasn't shared with them, if you came in late this afternoon or your information was emailed to us late today, it will be at the next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. So you'll get your information there. And there was some questions raised. As the information comes in, we don't redact, we don't change, we don't do anything with it. We simply gather the information and then share it back out. So no involvement there. So just wanted to let you know that. And with that, I'm going to introduce Chris to present on this applicant. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Commission.
Good evening, Mr. Norlock.
Thank you. Also wanted to, like Stacy said, thank the community for all your input, either side on it. Appreciate all the input on every project. I wish you got this on every project. It's kind of awesome. And also just wanted to thank the staff as well.
Mr. Norlock, inasmuch as this is a public hearing item, I will open the public hearing. Thank you.
Perfect. So as you said, this is a major general plan amendment. Although it did not meet the requirements in the general plan to be a major amendment, there is a special provision that allows a petition by the citizens with qualified signatures to make it a general plan amendment, or a major general plan amendment, and that's how we got here today. This is the timeline that we have to meet for the major general plan amendment. We did send out notices on August 22nd to numerous departments, the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, Arizona Department of Water Resources, the Commerce Authority, Game and Fish, the State Mine Inspector, the City of Prescott, the Town of Dewey-Humboldt, the Humboldt Unified School District, Northern Arizona Council of Governments, Planning and Zoning Commission, Prescott Valley Town Council, Town of Chino Valley, and Yavapai County, as well as any written requesters that request any projects. The applicant did have 3 neighborhood meetings for this project. 2 were in person, and 1 was virtual for people that couldn't attend in person. And now we have 2 planning and zoning hearings, each in a different location, and then 1 town council hearing by the end of the year per the requirements set forth in the town's general plan that we're following. So the current designation is to change, is actually Village Pad A1, and the request is to amend the general plan to designate this area as industrial. And this is just a preliminary site plan we were given by the applicant, and any final site plan will be approved at engineering permit, and they will have to cross Old Black Canyon one time. That is it for me, just a short presentation today. I will turn it over to the applicant, who has a presentation as well. But if you have any questions at this time before he comes up and speaks, I'll take them, but he might cover them, so feel free to wait, either way you want to do it.
Commission, do you have any questions for Mr. Norlock? Commissioner Grossi? Vice Chair Erb? Commissioner King? Commissioner Hewitt? Wow, Mr. Norlock, you got off easy.
I'm sure I won't.
So the applicant, his representative is coming forward?
Yes, Bill Lawley.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. For the record, Bill Lally with Tiffany and Bosco tonight representing the applicant. And appreciate all your time tonight, and I think all the comments are very valuable as we go through the process. And I think the process is important for a major general plan amendment to know that we have 2 meetings. That's very, very significant and very unique for major general plan amendments. So as Chris indicated, even though it did not technically meet your own major general plan amendment guidelines, which is a change of 100 acres or more, and we're at 40 acres, there is a provision in your general plan that does allow the citizens to trigger it. So we're here tonight and again next time because of the citizens trigger, not because it met the actual general plan criteria. I do want to walk through a little bit tonight and then reserve some time at the end. I will try to be quick through this because I know you have a lot of speakers here tonight, a lot of information. Again, representing the Fain Enterprise Group, only tonight is just the major general plan amendment, not the zoning case. So I know there was a little bit of some mixed vocabulary earlier about the zoning case and whether the zoning case is consistent with something. We're just here tonight to talk about the major general plan amendment, and I'll focus all of our comments on that as well. The parcel is about 40 acres, a little shy of 40 acres, surrounded by, in the general plan, a village called PAD A1. But I think it's important to talk a little bit about the history because this history dates back to really 1982 when the original mining operations began next to Fain Park. Fain Park wasn't actually Fain Park at the time. So that operation has been in place for 40 plus years. A lot of folks have moved in next to it over the years and understand the impacts of it. More recently though, as Fain Park was dedicated in 1996, it kind of bifurcated the 2 mining spots. And again, the mining locations today that we're talking about near Fain Park are in the county. They're not in the town of Prescott Valley. And so those have been operating under the county rules for many, many years. In the 21 to 22 timeframe, a few years ago, the town reached out to the landowners and asked them if they were planning to expand on to the secondary site on the west side of the park, and the conversation was yes, and we would like to renew our road permit to do so. At the time, the conversations were we would prefer that you don't. We'd prefer that you find another location. The Fain family spent about a year plus evaluating any and all locations. As you know, they have a couple acres in the town and in the county, so they went out with the experts to evaluate where is the hard rock, because you can't just necessarily replace it anywhere. You have to go where the hard rock is. A lot of tests, a lot of evaluation, and then they had to decide, okay, even if something's 20 miles away, does it make sense to bring those trucks on the public roads? Probably not. So let's try to find something as close as possible to where the haul road could be inside of Fain property, off of the main roads, and that's what happened. So a couple years ago, the Fains filed for the original general plan application for this case. It was, again, as I mentioned, a minor general plan amendment because it was less than 100 acres. There was a petition at the time and a court petition to require that to be a major general plan amendment. So at the time, they went ahead and paused the application. But at that time, the family was also taking tours out to the site, filmed a drone flight footage of the site, because it's a little bit remote, so not everybody could get out to the site to see really what the impact was. So what they did at the time, a couple of years ago, was spend money on a drone flight to make sure that folks could see exactly what we're talking about, and then actually did some private tours. That application was put on hold because there was, again, some additional outpour and comments from the community. So we put that case on hold. That case ended up expiring because, again, it was a general plan amendment and it had to go through within the same year. In 2024, like I said, was the litigation. So we came back this year and started those conversations with the town. And the town, again, re-energized their commitment to try not to utilize the undeveloped part of the Fain property on the west side of the park that is approved for mining today, and that they could go there today without any approvals from the town. And so there was a conversation had. The location was located, and as you can see, it's called Government Tank. That was then applied for earlier this year, and then we have gone through a number of meetings and hearings, but this gives you a good idea of the location. And again, what's in front of you today is the 40-acre yellow square. It is not one of a couple sites that were chosen. This is the general plan amendment application and rezoning application. And so, again, the experts advised the family on where is the hard rock, where can it be extracted, and where can it be extracted in a location with the least impact to public roads and the public. So this site was chosen. As you can see, the existing evacuation pit is where most of the operation and the existing operation, so the rock will be extracted from here and then driven over to the existing operation and processed there. So we won't have a replica of the exact facility that's at the current pit at the new location. It'll be a much slimmed down version of what's there today. The green is obviously the park, and the property on the west side of the park was going to be phase 2 for sand and gravel operation. As staff indicated, we're in Village PAD A1. General plans, I think it's important to note that, and specifically with Prescott Valley, your general plan is very generic, very generic. A lot of other general plans around the state will have lots of colors, dialed down to 10 and 15 acres of this should be commercial, and this should be this type of residential, and this should be that type of residential. You guys have a very generic general plan, and it does give some guidance in the general plan of some things that could go there. So as you can see in PAD A1 is not a very descriptive location of exactly what should go there. So once we found this location and we understood that it was as far away from the residential as we could possibly find, but still meeting the original criteria, it made sense to locate within this PAD. Again, this shows you sort of an understanding of where it's located. To the west, obviously, is a very large state land piece, so no homes pending there at the moment. A lot of the pink, yellow, or pink and red around it is owned by the applicant as well. And the PAD itself talks about certain types of uses, and I know you received some information that said only residential can go there, and I would refer to you to basically page 58 of your own PAD that says number of uses are appropriate for the PAD general plan categories, and one of which can be industrial. So it does not prohibit it by its own terminology in the PAD. The most interesting thing about this case for me was the outreach that we did. We were asked by the ownership to try something unique this time, and we tried a new software called Slido. Although we were required to have 2 neighborhood meetings, we had a 3rd neighborhood meeting for folks who couldn't attend one of the others. And we utilized Slido software, which was the first time for me, whereby we held a neighborhood meeting for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and received and answered about 70 to 100 questions each time in a very respectful way by utilizing a software and an app in real time so folks could be sitting there asking questions on their phone. The question pops up on the screen. Our team would sit there and answer the question. So it was probably the most productive thing that I've seen in terms of conveying information and collecting questions. And so we presented most of what you've heard here tonight in terms of the background on the sites, some of the other mitigation concerns that were talked about. But in reality, we were able to probably field over 100 questions, individual questions. A lot of them were a version of the same question, but I think it was probably the most well-attended, productive, and just nice open house. When you have 100 people in the room, sometimes it can get rowdy, so we were pretty excited to utilize that. A couple of the issues that were brought up in those meetings, and I think we can talk a little bit more about it as we get into it, but really, talking about, is there going to be blasting? What is the schedule of blasting? Are you going to monitor pre and post blasting? What is the track record for that? Those were some of the issues that we can get into tonight, if there is more time or if there's a need to drill down on each one of those issues. But we have our experts here tonight. The blasting is not a regular thing. It's literally probably like a once a year or once every couple of years type of thing. It lasts for 5 seconds, it's done, then they go back into the pit and start extracting. And so during these open house meetings, we had the experts and we asked and answered many versions of these questions. And so I think it was a great opportunity for the community to be informed. The other concern that I think a lot of people had is how far away this is from existing communities. Now, we're here in Prescott Valley. We're asked to evaluate the general plan of the Prescott Valley, town of Prescott Valley. So as you look at the arrows and you see the distances away from existing communities and existing roads, this is way short of the location that we have today, which is about 400 to 600 feet away from existing homes within Stone Ridge. And so the concerns that you hear about blasting or dust or noise or lights, some of those things are issues that I think are made up, honestly. I think when you think about the existing facility that is way bigger than 40 acres, that exists 400 to 600 feet away from existing homes, and the precautions that that operator has taken to mitigate dust, to make sure that lights aren't shining, near homes, to make sure that the roads are watered for the trucks, make sure that the lights and the noise isn't impacting the neighbors in the surrounding area. We have a letter in the packet that you received from the state legislators. One of them lives probably the closest to the location, and I don't think he would pen a letter on his state legislative letterhead if he didn't truly believe that the issues at the existing site today are not what are being talked about in the community. So this was important just to show the community exactly how far away this new site will be. Jumped up. Another issue was noise. You have a rock crusher out there. Are we going to be up all night long listening to this rock crusher? And so what we tried to do is go out onto the OSHA websites and the other websites and try to compare a rock crusher sound to other kind of common areas. And so if you look at rock crusher, the bottom one, the yellow, that's at 0 feet. That's if I'm standing right next door to it. Nobody will be, but if I was standing right next door to it, other than workers, it's at about 110 decibels. So if you look at the comparison to other similar items, the most likely scenario is rock crusher at a quarter mile or a half a mile away. And you look at the 50 to 60 decibels, which is consistent with a vacuum in your house, a refrigerator, similar to the jackhammer, but again, jackhammer being right next door to you is even louder than a rock crusher. So we tried to find OSHA type standards out there to compare this to. So it's not just it could be type of thing. And again, we shared all of this through our process with the open houses to show that the noise is not considerable. The rock crusher will be hundreds, if not thousands of feet away from homes. And so and it's down in a valley. So the sound will stay down in the valley. But again, we wanted to make sure that we were addressing those concerns and those issues. We also talked about dust and silica and what are some of the concerns, from the community's health standards. And PFRM APNS is here tonight if we get into a more detailed discussion. But basically, APNS and their insurer has done testing on the employees that are in the pit operating the equipment, and has put testing machine on the workers themselves to test and make sure that the silica dust particles aren't at a harmful or exceed a harmful level. And so that's the type of operation that APNS does today on their larger facility, and that's the type of operation that they will have at the new facility. They will continue to do tests. We do not believe there's a silica or a dust issue. We will have water trucks that will water down all of the areas, not just the road that we're driving on, but all of the areas that are being worked on. So we can dig into that a little bit later if need be. Another question came up is where's the water going to come from? We have a existing use at the existing site where we'll truck water over. We're not going to drill a well. We're not going to use groundwater. We're not going to potentially impact any of the surrounding wells. We will import water to the location. And again, there's some concerns about local residents in the Dewey to the south of us that actually have existing wells that have problems already. And so when it comes to blasting or water use, we will make sure that we're taking all of that into account. We do not think there's going to be any impact on those existing wells. AP&S is probably one of the best operators out there. They comply with all kinds. It isn't just the town or the county, but it's the state and the federal regulations. So they're constantly being monitored, constantly being surveyed, constantly being checked in on. And so they're one of the best in the round. They will be the operator on this next site. And so we feel very good that we have a good partner on this site. Going forward, very few conditions on the general plan. You'll see probably a few more on the zoning case as we get into December. But again, when there's concerns about noise or dust, we will comply with everything that exists today in the town code. And I think that was probably important for the town. You have a nuisance law that covers lights and sounds. You have dust control here as well. And so there is a way for strict compliance on this side, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So, Madam Chair, Commissioners, happy to answer any questions. We have a lot of stuff for rebuttal later on if we want to get into it, but just wanted to give you a brief overview.
Thank you, Mr. Lawley. And I will be adding some conditions of approval to your short list.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioners, any questions of Mr. Lawley? Vice Chair Erb?
Yes, if we can go back the slide. This is not a zoning question. I just want to make sure I understood what you said correctly. The map that showed the existing quarry, the proposed location, and the park is the green, correct?
That is correct.
You had stated earlier that take the current proposal, the change to the lost my train of thought, I apologize. You had made a statement that Fain currently, or the operation is currently approved to do something to the west of the park. Is that the blue edged out area just to the west of the green? Is that what you were talking about?
Madam Chair, Vice Chairman, yes. So the remaining blue dotted area is about 65 plus acres, 40 to 65 acres, depending on what you include, that surrounds the park on the west side. And currently that was and is contemplated as the Phase 2 borrow pit.
If this was to move forward, what happens to that?
Yeah, as we mentioned, Madam Chair, Commissioner, as we mentioned, and I think was also alluded to, there's a couple different things that will be in front of Commission. You will have a general plan amendment, major general plan amendment for action next time, and a zoning case, a companion zoning case that talks specifically to the zoning on the site. The third item is a development agreement that we're working with the town on. And so that development agreement typically doesn't go in front of the Planning Commission for approval. Typically it goes from the town council. I'm not sure if that will change or not, but I don't believe so. But the development agreement will have conditions in there by which the Fain family have committed to donating and gifting the West Fain Park land to the town. It's not a quid pro quo for the zoning. It is a development agreement that talks about how the gift will happen. And so one of the conditions, obviously, is that the zoning is vested, because obviously we can't abandon the rights of the pit over there until we have a replacement location. But once that's done and vested, there's a separate development agreement. And I know there was a comment in one of the letters about contract zoning, and I'll spend just a second just to edify that. Contract zoning is where you have a development agreement that says, you do this thing, we'll give you your zoning. And the reason why it's illegal is because you can't do that and not go through zoning hearings and follow the state statute in terms of changing zoning. Years and years ago, back in the Wild Wild West in Arizona, you could do that, and you could say, hey, we'll do this and we'll give you your zoning without going through public hearings. So that's not what the development agreement is. It's not contract zoning. It's not a quid pro quo. This is its own process. The zoning case is its own process. And then the development agreement is its own process by which we say, town, if we can get this replacement site secured and zoned and ready to go, as a promise to you, the town, of not going back to that site after we got our zoning over here, we'll give you that land. And that was a request by the town as we got into this conversation. It wasn't something that we offered. I don't think we came to the table saying, hey, we want to give you a bunch of land. But it was something that the town asked us. How do we guarantee, because it's in the county, it's not in the town, how do we guarantee you're not going to go right back to that site as soon as you get government take approved? So the guarantee is built into the development agreement.
And if the master plan change did not occur or wasn't granted, they have approval and could use that space to the west of the park, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair, Commissioner, there's some logistics in terms of access and transportation, how we would get the trucks around the park, and probably have to put them back out on the road, public roads. But yes, that would be the plan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Erb. Commissioner King, do you have questions of Mr. Lawley?
Sure, I'll go ahead. Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you please go to slide 6? Okay, so I'm looking here at Village Pad A1. I see this proposed area. And you said, I believe maybe it was in slide 7, that this can be slotted as industrial. Okay, so a pad can be developed for residential, commercial, industrial, or a mix of these types of uses, right? Understood. In the general plan, though, what is the language for Village Pad A1 that was agreed upon?
Let me see if I can find, Madam Chair, Commissioner, I don't think I have that on a slide. It does have a mixture of residential uses contemplated on the site. Again, Village Pad A1 is a very large piece of property. It contemplated all kinds of different uses. And I think that the contemplation was, because it's single-family residential today, that the likely build-out would be single-family residential in the future. Hence, if we were completely compatible with all of the language, we wouldn't need a general plan amendment at all. So we are here changing the general plan to allow for an industrial use within a residential area.
Got it. Okay, so currently that type of use is not contemplated there.
Correct.
Right. So how about, do we have a vision for what possibilities might look like for the other surrounding areas that are not currently in use?
Yeah, I mean, let's go to the aerial. So, Madam Chair, Commissioner King, immediately to the left is obviously a large section of state land property. So no vision from our side of the table in terms of the applicant. We chose this 40 acres because the hard rock existed there. And I think if there were 100 acres of it, we would have probably come in with 100 acres. There's 40 acres of hard rock right there, and that's it. So we will dig and find the hard rock on that 40 acres. There has been talk about doing some overlays over it to kind of show some other uses, non-industrial uses, so that there isn't a huge industrial complex that shows up. That will take a whole nother process, and we're not there yet. We haven't gone through the process of figuring out what would be compatible, what wouldn't be compatible, and so, but mind you, it would be in front of you first, so.
Right, understood. Okay, and then just for my own edification, can you explain and give me some understanding of what the demand is and why there's such a demand for this hard rock?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, might be a little out of my wheelhouse, but let me just try my best based on what I've heard, Pete from AP&S, who is here tonight, to back me up if I say something incorrect. But basically every road that gets built in Arizona needs this type of rock. So ADOT, the state, the town private development, anywhere we're building roads, we need this type of rock. And so this type of rock is running out at the existing site. This type of rock is needed for this entire region. We're not exporting it outside the region. We want to find the rock. It's heavy and it's costly to transport. So you want to find locations near where it's going to be used. So as Prescott Valley and the surrounding areas develop and need more road expansions, or as your town continues to widen roads, this product is absolutely critical to your future.
So is there current demand needed for it here? I see over the past 25 years, average uses is 132.9 acres per feet, right? And so I was just trying to understand what is the current demand and what's the future demand, and if we have any statistics related there too, as what might have been approved in the surrounding areas for why the rock is needed.
Madam Chair, Commissioner, I'll probably have to dig a little deeper with Pete, and the good thing is we're back in front of you next month, and I can get that answer to you. I don't have it tonight, and if Pete runs up here and taps me on the shoulder and has that exact answer, great. I will write it down and make sure we get that answer to you.
Okay, understood. And thank you very much for the previous question. That helps me understand too about the separating out the development agreement and how that might work with the additional areas that's in the blue. That was a good question. That's all for now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner King. Commissioner Hewitt?
Yes, Madam Chair, Mr. Lawley, thank you for coming. Commissioner King, you're still a little my thunder. Ask a lot of the questions I was going to ask. What are we talking about as for his longevity? I mean, how long will this site, is there any potential idea how long the site will be used and mined?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, and again, I think Pete would better be answered, but I think it's unknown till they get in there and they start working and figuring out how long it's going to take to extract certain rock. And then demand changes, obviously, in the area. And so I think it's a moving question, but I'll make sure to write it down and try to get back to you. I mean, we have been at the larger pit since '82. AP&S came in, I think, in 2002, and have been operating it, for the last 20 plus years. And so, that's a 40-plus year pit. I don't want to put on the record, but I think that's probably about what we're talking about here.
So I read in the brief, they talked about crushing on site and then hauling. Obviously, it's probably a better operation instead of hauling the rock and crushing at the current location. Is that still the plan?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, yeah. So as you can see, there's the connection road on there, and the connection road's there for a reason. A lot of the processing of the rock, the more minute crushing and processing will continue to happen at the Fain Park site. We will be extracting, putting it in a truck, and driving over and processing over there.
Oh, okay. So I misunderstood. I thought I read in the brief that they were in hopes of crushing on this site to get.
I think they're. And again, this might be a Pete question, sure. Madam Chair, Commissioner. I think they have to crush some of it to get it in the truck, and then more refined processing over at the other location.
That's reasonable. With regard to the Hall Road, it's relatively long. It does cross a well-traveled public roadway. It's crossing in the town limits, but it's going to impact, obviously, town and county residents. I know specifically the construction of the road, both on the town side and on the county side, because I was involved in that process a little bit. Is there a plan to do any improvements at that crossing? Because the current configuration or structural section of the road couldn't handle haul trucks, even a few a day.
Madam Chair, Commissioner, there is plans to build and or reinforce probably the existing road, and then build up whatever needs to in terms of crossing it. So yes, we're only going to cross it once, which is good. If you think about some of the other thoughts previously, other sites, even this particular site, trucks would be on the roads, like going down the roads. We're just doing a quick crossing here, and so that crossing will go through the process with the town and make sure that the engineering, the design is adequate.
Okay, thank you.
So, Commissioner Hewitt, you stole my thunder on a question I had for Mr. Lawley. How could you read my notes all the way down here? So I was also going to ask about the extraction of rock and what we thought the timeline was for 40 acres and how long that would last. So I'm sure that our operator, Mr. Thompson, will share some of that with us. But would you take us to the slide, please, where you showed the distances from the 40 acres from the other homes? There it goes. So I really think that this 1.5 mile, the 1.47, and the 1.08, I feel that those miles are much further because it looks like you've just taken the measurement to the corners of the 40-acre parcel, when the phases for the rock extraction are much deeper inside of that 40-acre parcel, so those distances are going to be farther. How's my trigonometry?
Madam Chair, I think you're tracking correctly. I think we wanted to try to do that to the farthest corner.
Right.
It is 40 acres, so it's a big piece. We will be starting in the middle operation. So we're probably conservatively a couple hundred feet, under where it's actually going to be.
Perfect.
And we are depressed. We're
Perfect.
depressed in a hole.
Perfect. So I do have a question for Mr. Thompson. No, sir, you have to come to the microphone. Thank you.
My name is Pete Thompson. I'm with Asphalt Paving and Supply.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. And for the record, you're going to be the operator of the rock extraction component, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So on the preliminary site plan, it shows multiple phases. Are you starting those phases in phase 1 and then moving to 2? Or can you mix and match your phase extractions?
You're referring to the property near Stone Ridge is in phases. Oh, in that, I can't see that from here. I'd have to have that in front of me. Make it big. I have bad eyes.
There it is.
I can answer that. These aren't phases. These are different pieces of equipment, different piles that we'll be putting up. We'll be extracting the rock, putting it into a crusher, and then it'll be, as it's crushed, it'll be fed through conveyor belts to rocks that are 4 inches, rocks that are 2 inches, rocks that are 1 inch, that's what you're looking at in those red circles.
No, the little squares in this box where it says phase 1 through 8. Are those phases where you start the extraction in those areas?
I'm not aware of how we're going to phase that at this point.
Okay. Okay. So one of my other questions at the point in time when we get to the conditions of approval, I would like some sort of notation, Mr. Lawley, or recommendation on your part as to how we call out this site plan so it's in the conditions of approval, please. I think that's important.
Madam Chair, I think, let us talk with staff, because the general plan is basically a very generic thing. We have a zoning case as well that's going to have a little bit more detail to it, and so let me work with your staff to figure out how best to coordinate that.
Perfect. And Mr. Thompson, in one of the slides for Mr. Lawley, he talked about blasting would be Monday through Saturday. Is that going to be a standard blasting time frame, And you're going to work on Saturdays, or did you just put that in there should you need to blast on a Saturday?
Monday through Saturday is a placeholder, depending on the demand that we incur from state projects, Town of Prescott Valley projects, Yavapai County projects. The blasting is our last resort. We have a lot of big machines that can dig that rock out until it becomes a solid rock the size of this room or something. At that point, we start blasting. The blasting process is 2-3 weeks of drilling holes and loading the charges into the hole. And when they squeeze the button, 5 seconds later, it's over. And that will take us, depending on the rock, it's going to take us several weeks to remove that rock while they're drilling another section. Usually when we'd blast something, it would be 100,000 tons at a time, and it would probably be in 4 blasts spread out over a month. So 20 seconds of dynamite in a month, maybe 2.
Okay, thank you, sir, for answering our questions.
Am I dismissed?
Well, hold on.
Possibly.
Possibly. Madam Chair, I have a question for Mr. Thompson. That's okay.
Certainly, thank you, Commissioner Hewitt.
Nice to see you, Pete.
Nice to see
I've
you,
got a
Joe.
question for you. Maybe you can kind of, blasting is such a scary term, right? Most people may not know what that looks like. I mean, you gave a pretty good description of how it happens. You know, you drill the holes, you load them, and then obviously we're talking 5 seconds, 10 seconds of blast time. We're not talking about materials being thrown. I mean, this is a controlled movement. Is that correct?
It's very controlled. Blasting on the top of a mountain is one thing where the material moves quite a bit, and it oftentimes comes down the mountain to a location that you're trying to direct it to. When you're blasting below surface, the ground kind of jumps up in the air. I blasted 3,000 feet of sewer line through Copper Basin Road with houses on both sides back in 2008 and 2009, and we never broke a window or anything. We covered it with dirt. The dirt got about 6 or 8 inches fluffier when it was done, and that was the end of it. Very controlled. I don't do it. We hire someone that's qualified to do that.
That was going to be my next question. Obviously, this isn't something that's handled in-house, particularly with you guys, but you have an outside licensed company that comes in to do the work, right?
Correct. We extract and process materials, and we build highways for a living. Parking lots, driveways, stuff like that.
Do you have any kind of idea? I mean, I know you guys have explored the site. Obviously, you wouldn't be here before us to see if this is valuable for this product. Do you have any idea how long that this site could be in operation for?
It's all buried underground right now, and so until we open it up and see the depth of the rock and the width of the rock and everything, it's hard to say. We're hopeful that it's 10, 20, 30 years. It may be 4 or 5 years, depending on what we find when we get in there.
Sure. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hewitt. Mr. Thompson, before you're dismissed, sir. On the fire summary, we were given a letter tonight from CAFMA, and they made a statement in their letter that says proposed site shall be accessible to fire apparatus by way of an approved access roadway with an all-weather driving surface capable of supporting the imposed load of fire apparatus weighing up to 75,000 pounds. I'm confident that you will be working with our town engineer to go back to Commissioner Hewitt with that crossing the roadway, so CAFMA will be able to have their statement answered. You're going to work with CAFMA?
70,000 pounds is light in our industry, so we'll build the road for much higher standards than 70,000 pounds.
Perfect.
I think the operative is all-weather access, right? So that's what they're wanting.
Yes, it says all weather.
Yeah.
Yes, we work rain or shine. We fully intend to cut the road into the existing property, then plate it with something to keep it passable.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions for Mr. Thompson?
Can I answer one more thing?
Absolutely.
Brianna, Commissioner Brianna, you asked something about the 136 point something when you were asking about how long it took. I believe you were referring to the water usage from the surface water rights that we had.
Oh, that is correct, it's underwater.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was surface water usage.
Okay.
Are you done with me?
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you.
Happy you were here. Commissioner Grossi, you have a question of Mr. Lawley?
Yeah, I have several actually. Before Mr. Thompson sits down, it may be one directed towards him. We covered the decibels for the rock crusher. Has the decibel for the blasting, even though it is a short time, has that been measured and provided?
A little taller than me. Madam Chair, Commissioner, I don't have that in front of me. We didn't put it on the chart. I think, as he indicated, it is fully underground. It's not a surface blast that would be pretty sudden and pretty impactful. So let's see if we can find an underground blast comparison for you and bring that back the next time.
Thank you. In addition to that, I may have missed this. If the government pit is moved forward, will the Chino Valley pit cease and remediate, or is the government pit in addition to the Chino Valley pit?
We're going to have Pete answer that one.
We own both locations, the one in north of Chino Valley as well. That will not cease. It's been in operation for a long time. More of a landscape type rock, although it does have hard rock. We have been hauling rock in from that pit, but neither pit will close.
Understood. Thank you. Final question, a little odd in nature. The access road that is being proposed, is that being acquired in fee or by easement?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, the road itself is all within the applicant's land.
Understood. Thank
you.
you.
So there won't be any need to acquire any right away.
Thank you, Commissioner Grossi. Vice Chair Erb?
Madam Chair, correct me if this ends up being a zoning question, but it just kind of seems to go in line with some of the stuff that was discussed. When we talk about timeframes relative to the existing site and the new proposed site, I heard a couple things. One, that we're running out of rock at the current site where majority of the process will take place, and that we don't know the time frame in which the proposed location could run. With those two things aside, whether it's 5 years, 30 years, or the current site runs out of rock, what happens to that land when that happens?
Madam Chair, I'll let Pete answer. I think we have a remediation plan.
We have Asphalt Paving and Supply has a reclamation plan in place with the Arizona State Mine Inspectors. So it details exactly what we have to do. We have to get a price from a third party. We have to go in, revegetate some areas, remove roads that aren't necessary for the Fanes to use for ranching purposes in the future. Basically put the property back with erosion control measures and everything. Anytime anybody opens up a mine in the state of Arizona, the reclamation plan is the first step in the process, and it has to be approved through the state mine inspector.
Great, thank you. I asked the question only not just because of my own ignorance, but I would like that to be on the record so that folks understand, to your point, if the new site was to last a year, there is a plan in place to remediate the property back to something as close as it was when you started.
Correct.
Okay. Can you speak to, one of you speak to long-lasting effects for this kind of an operation, if there are any, and what they might be? Environmental type aspects?
I don't know of any negative environmental impacts once the remediation plan once we see that through at some stage in the future. Like I said, to mitigate erosion and everything, there's seeding that goes along with that to put native grasses and vegetation back in. I can tell you that since we've taken over the pit in 1983 or 2003 at the south end of Glassford Hill Road, the riparian area is 100% different. It was pretty much barren wasteland when we took the pit over. We have trees and deer and javelina and a bear and all kinds of stuff running in and out through our pit. I mean, they've moved right back in once we got the vegetation going and everything.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Lawley, before we bring in the agenda public hearing folks, the conditions of approval, number 3 says the developer shall be in conformance with the development agreement. I know that that is still in negotiations. I would like to request from Mr. Norlock that when that development agreement has been finalized, that the commission please receive a copy of it. And then when it's finalized, if it can also, that date, go in the proposed conditions of approval, please, sir, that's the development agreement we're working off of.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll work with your town attorney as well on the date.
Perfect.
It's possible that they go to the same hearing, so we'll have to work on a date.
Thank you, sir. Commission, do we have any other questions for Mr. Norlock or Mr. Lawley before we open it up for public hearing comments?
Madam Chair, I have one more, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Quick question here, related to this major amendment and some law and code. So I see that Representative Wynn wrote a letter. When I was doing some research on the other Chino Valley site, I came across HB 2685, which proposes that now the area needs to be a half-mile radius from the site, from residents. Do we have any information on that or confirmation that that site is compliant with that?
Madam Chair and Commissioner, I'd have to read this bill, and I don't know if you're saying that it was actually adopted into law as a new restriction or it was a proposed House bill at the time. I'm not familiar with it, so I'll have to double check first.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, if you could do that, I think that would be really helpful and give the constituents some ease of mind as well. So effectively what they're saying is that the state mine inspector has the opportunity to make sure that the distance of the proposed facility is more than a half mile from any occupied residential structures.
And can you repeat the HB?
HB 2685.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Lawley. We'll now open it up for public comment on agenda item 7A, GPA 25-001. Clerk, do we have public comment?
Yes, we have 10 registered. First is Vic Paulson.
Mr. Olson?
That was Vic Paulson.
Oh, Paulson. Sorry.
Good evening. My name is Vic Paulson. I live at 1734 Thimble Lane in Prescott Valley. Tonight, the commission has two basic responsibilities as I see it. That's to apply the Prescott Valley zoning and land use ordinances to the project before you, and at the same time, to do that in the best interests of the town and the residents of Prescott Valley. Now, you're going to hear or have heard or seen in print, in the press, a lot of noise and fear-mongering about the government tank site. You're going to hear about blasting, silicosis, lung disease, broken gas lines, cracked walls, and damaged wells. None of those fears are based in fact. None of those have any evidence supporting those fears relative to this project. What you do have is over 20 years of the exact same type operation
surrounded by businesses and residents, that none of those fears have materialized yet. That's hard evidence. We know that this is a responsible operator providing a valuable service. Water use is another thing that will come up. Water is entirely owned, deeded rights by the property owner. 250 acre feet. That's roughly 80 million gallons a year. They've got plenty of water without ever touching the aquifer. What I would ask from you is that you ignore the noise. Don't listen to the unsupported fear-mongering that's going on out there. Do the job you've unselfishly volunteered to do. Apply the governing ordinances based on fact and base your decision solely on what is best for the town of Prescott Valley and its residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Paulson. Clerk, our next speakers.
William Hathaway.
Now I get to say good evening. I live in the Raven Ridge area, Prescott Valley. What I would like to address to you...
Mr. Hathaway, please state your name and address.
Yes, William Max Hathaway, 10711 East High Point Drive, Prescott Valley. It's in the Raven Ridge area. What I'd like to discuss now, and I think this is a very important thing, is the interplay between the development agreement Mr. Lawley's mentioned and the general plan amendment. State law requires that the development agreement is consistent with the general plan. So that means that whatever general plan amendment you recommend must accommodate what's in the development agreement. The general plan amendment application that you guys are looking at does not address in any way, shape, or form the development agreement. And let me, so what you would be missing is anything that includes the impact of the development agreement on the future development of Village Pad 1A. And just think about it. You look at slide 4, you got a 40-acre parcel that's within a larger area that's foreseen for low and medium density housing. You got a haulage road going right through it. You don't know if it's going to be 4 years, 10, 20, or 30 years that they're going to be able to harvest the hard rock there. And so how is the interplay going to be between what is planned, which is kind of amorphous, and whatever might or might not come about in Village Pad 1A? Another thing you won't be able to address until you have the development agreement is there a period of time that the Fane Signature Group has agreed not to ask to expand the industrial zoning? I happen to know that's under discussion for the negotiation and that there is some disagreement over the length of the time period that the Fane Signature Group is willing to say, we're not going to ask to expand the industrial part. And another matter is, what, if any, conditions are being placed on the so-called donation of those parcels west of Fane Park? And whether or not a condition placed on that could impede the town's municipal financing options in the future. You won't know that until you see it. And this is something to do with the future imposition of a local property tax and what impact that will have retroactively on the donation of those parcels. You need to know that. May I have just another moment, Madam Chairman?
I'm sorry, Mr. Hathaway, we have 10 speakers.
Oh, no, okay. My request is that you postpone the second meeting until you get a finalized copy of the development agreement so that you can go about approaching this task in the manner in which it must be approached. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hathaway.
Patricia Betzold.
I have a graphic that I think will help all of you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I have a graphic that will help all of you that I can't really explain in words.
Please give it to the clerk and she can pass them out. Thank you. Clerk, please let it be known that Ms. Betzel has not started her time yet. The clock is running.
Okay. So Patricia Betzel, Chino Valley, Armitage Way. The Fains are business people. We understand that. In 2022, Gilbert Davidson stopped the Fains from mining the parcels west of Fain Park. At that time, he stated it was inconsistent with the general plan and strategic plan, etc. Despite the Fains being permitted by right to mine those parcels without approval from the town, they stopped moving forward. Now we're in 2025, and now the Fains and APNS are requesting a major general amendment from residential to industrial, zoning map page, and a conditional use permit to mine 40 acres at Government Tank. They've complained about the 4.5 Hall Road and reminded everyone often just how much more cost-effective the county parcels are. Those are the ones on the either side of Stone Ridge Drive. So why did they locate the Government Tank location when it's so far away? And that's what this graphic is right here that shows the property in red, the 1,700 plus acres that backs up to Stone Ridge, backs up to Prescott Country Club, backs up to the Blue Hills of Dewey Humboldt, and passes Old Black Canyon Highway. 1,700 plus acres. That doesn't include the 40 acres that they're requesting to rezone. So anyway, the Fains took a page out of Prescott Valley's handbook on how to expand. Why did PB put Mingus West all the way out on the 89A and then extend all the utilities out there? It was because they had a vision for the future, and that was to expand town limits all the way out to the foot of Mingus Mountain. Bleh. And it's in the general plan. You can see it. So they own all this land. So basically, if they're successful in a bid to override the general plan now, there's nothing to say that they won't be successful if they come back and ask for the 1,700 acres. That's only 2 parcels. One of the parcels is over 1,300. So basically, they will basically have the opportunity to mine from the Government Tank all the way to the existing processing plant, which they don't want to move. It'll cost them millions. And that basically, when people look over their back walls in Stone Ridge and Prescott Country Club and Dewey Humboldt, they will have a mine in their backyard, and they will have a large moonscape. Typically, mining leases are about 50 years. The one going on right now is 47. At the neighborhood meeting, they said they don't have an end in sight because there's still cement and aggregate for construction. So basically, in the development agreement, as Max stated, they won't even look at it until the
Ms. Betzel, please wrap it up.
Until the rezoning and 30 days for referendum on the 40 acres is over. And then they said they would consider it, and I quote, that's neighborhood meeting number 2, and if their family agrees to, because their family is also on that trust.
Thank you, Ms. Betzel.
L. Baron Shimon.
Good evening again. The property being used now in the L. Baron Shimon, 7699 East Bravo Lane, Prescott Valley, Arizona, 86314, ma'am. This process, I've been to all of the meetings. There is unlimited factual information provided. The difficulty that I see is that government tank requires really more output from the operators involved, but it will not be. I actually called the town and said, how are we going to move these big trucks up and down Stone Ridge Drive, make the right-hand turn onto 69? But all of this pales for me in comparison to the amount of work and preparation and study that has been done to move this project forward. I know you're going to give it close examination, but those of us who have seen the meetings, read the information, and live there. I've lived in Stone Ridge since 2009. There are no clouds of dust. There are no concussions. There are no explosions. I would like all of those things to enter into your decision, and the reclamation agreement is the first thing that AP&S filed, because that's how it's done. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon. Clerk, our next speaker, please.
Chris Russo.
Good evening, Madam Chair and the rest of the commissioners. I was a little confused, and that's my problem on the comments that I was going to make. So if you don't think these are appropriate, just stop me.
It's perfectly appropriate, and we're glad to see you back at the mic.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, this does have to do with the vote, and I want to thank Commissioner Colosimo for his commitment to the town of Prescott Valley. Recusing himself from voting on this amendment to me is the act of a principled man in full recognition of his duty to the town and its residents. After a full reading that I did of the Arizona Revised Statutes 38503 and all subsequent related statutes referring to the town officer's requirements for recusal, which are so vague you can drive a truck through, I have determined that if a suit was brought against Mr. Colosimo, which has been suggested by representatives of a local political action committee, he could stand to lose everything he's worked his whole life for: his business, his license, the means for supporting his family, among, of course, his livelihood. PVCA and its members show the same indifference to him as they show the good people of Victoria States when their members say on social media, "Then let it be Stone Ridge," when told that there are two choices, and only two choices, for AP&S heavy rock harvesting required to produce the asphalt we all need. PVCA and its members have said the Commissioner Colosimo is not qualified to be on this commission, which I feel is false, since he has spent more time and effort learning the facts of the project, plus and minus, than all of them together. Plus, most are not residents of Prescott Valley or not living within any distance that might be affected by either gravel pit location. Any resident of this town has the absolute right to run for or be appointed to any position that is available. PVCA stated that Mr. Colosimo isn't qualified to occupy this position because he's not an expert on planning and zoning. And I have to say, how many of us have seen the expert class destroy this country and are sick of it? I know I am. Anything can be learned by anyone willing to learn it. So congratulations to Joe for his appointment and always taking the high road. And God bless you, and God bless Prescott Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russo.
Andrea Sanson.
Good evening, and thank you for hearing me. I'm Andrea Sansone. I live in Pronghorn Ranch. So my background is in emergency services.
Miss Andrea, thank you.
My background is in emergency services, and a few things that have come across the board here raise questions for me in the past and more recently concerning the ingress and egress, and could these concussions from blasting over time affect any of the bridge structure or the support ground or anything like that? That's something that was a concern. So then I started thinking a little bit more about it, and I asked on a public forum online of the mayor, and he did not answer me when I asked, why don't we do a beta test? Biggest amount of explosive, close in, far away, seismic equipment, air quality samples, this kind of thing. He has not gotten back to me as of yet. However, a couple of his supporters answered me and said, and from what I heard this evening, they're using standards and things that are data that didn't get measured here. And I feel that it would be very beneficial to do a beta test with all of those things, because that could quell the concerns of a lot of the public that's concerned about it, and maybe open the eyes of some others that think that nothing is affecting people. There might be people on the spectrum who live there that one blast might affect them a lot. Don't know. I know that's hearsay at this point, however. So I would just ask that they do something of that nature to prove that it's not a problem. Because these national figures and data didn't happen here. They don't have the same wind shift patterns. They don't have the same ingress and egress situations. And they also don't have the aquifer situation. How might that be affected? If those implode, the voids can't be changed. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Andrea.
Thank you.
I know that the operator, Mr. Thompson, is here in the audience with us. And Andrea, I'm sure that Mr. Thompson will address some of your concerns, not this evening, but I know that he will. Okay, so thank you, my friend.
Tim Fugit?
I'm watching that clock.
Perfect.
Don't start it yet. Let me get, can you hear me?
Perfect, yes.
Thank you. I'm here to actually revisit the recusal process.
Your name and address, please.
Tim Fugit, I live in Prescott Valley, Stone Ridge. I'm here to, even though Mr. Colosimo took the high road and recused, I'm here to make an argument that it should have been an abstention. Perhaps you will consider this in the future. PVCA's premise is conflict of interest under Title 38. There are 4 elements of it. Joe advocated for government tank rezoning during his application to P&Z. That's true. By objective analysis, it was the better site. B, Joe participated in the government tank statement and intent petition. That is also true. C, PVCA cites ARS 38503, which apparently implies a conflict of interest, which they define as pecuniary. Well, they quoted Section A without realizing it's completely irrelevant and applies only to contracts, sales, purchases, or services to the public agency in which he is an officer. According to them, he shall refrain from voting upon or otherwise participating in any manner. Is also irrelevant because Joe has never had a substantial interest of any kind by participating in those activities. This shows poor attention to detail on their part. They cite only subsection 10 in the ARS 38502, which refers to remote interest, as something that doesn't apply to him, but they've completely ignored section 11, which would be more apropos. Their letter of recusal is poorly constructed and statutorily incomplete. While they may call it a technicality, it is emblematic of court cases that PACs have lost during recently here in Yavapai County and for procedural mistakes. The biggie case is the Voice of Surprise versus Hall in front of the Arizona State Supreme Court for essentially the same reason. So the procedural errors in this letter of recusal and these court cases kind of get attached to these folks. The situation comes down to understanding of substantial versus remote interest. The value of his home is not relevant until it is on the market, and he plans to stay there after retirement. While he has an interest in the value of his home, it cannot be considered either substantial or remote interest for the purpose of determining the best location of the mine. His primary interest is agriculture trucks off public roads as much as possible using a private haul road and the gift to the West Fane Park if government tank is approved. You gave Ms. Betzold an extra 30 seconds. I'll claim that time if I could.
Tim, your time is up, sir. Thank you.
You gave her 30 seconds.
I'm sorry, Tim, your time is up.
Well, it's important, actually important for all of you to hear. So can I submit it to be scanned into the system?
You are welcome to submit it.
Not fair.
Thank you. Clerk, our next speaker, please.
Alice Rule.
It's Alice Ruley. Okay. Well, good evening. My name, Commissioners. My name is Alice Ruley. I live in Victorian Estates, 1863 East Mulberry. Okay. Well,
Ms. Ruley, get the microphone, please. There you go, to your mouth. There you go. Perfect.
Closer?
Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
It seems very loud right here. Okay. Well, I just have 3 points tonight. Living at Victorian Estates, we were concerned that if the mining project would be near us, which is only a third of a mile, we would be greatly affected by noise, vibrations from the dynamiting, even though that's only a few times a year, dust, and potential health risks. The dust particulates can increase heart conditions, lung issues such as COPD, and making it difficult to breathe. Also, the dust particles will affect our outdoor space, furniture, and plants. It will lead to a constant battle with cleanliness. In North Phoenix, my husband and I live there less than a mile from a gravel pit. Okay, we experienced noise pollution from the dynamiting, and it was so loud that it just vibrated we lived in a condo, it just vibrated, and we really felt it. We moved here to be near family and enjoy peace and quiet. Quarrying will affect property values, although I heard tonight that it didn't at Stone Ridge. So this is just some research that I found. It said if you live within a mile, 13 to 19% could decrease your home value, and properties up to 3 miles could expect a 6 to 10% decrease in value. Now, I understand that didn't happen here. So in summary, Victorian residents want this location for the mining to be at the government tank site to preserve our quality of life, health, and keep our property's values since we are 55 and above. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ruley.
Julio Vina.
Hi, good evening, Chairperson, Vice Chairperson, and Commissioners. My name is Julio Vina.
Would you get closer to the mic, please? Thank you, Julio.
Okay. Good evening to all. My name is Julio Vina. I am a resident of Victorian Estates. I am the VP of the Homeowners Association. I live in 1932 North Regent, again, in Prescott Valley. My take on this is I've been here a little over a year and listening to all the things that are going on that people are talking about, whether it's online or on the news or whatever. No one ever mentions Victorian Estates until tonight, right? Somebody made a point about Mr. Colosimo having had meetings in Victorian Estates. He never has. He has never set foot in Victorian Estates. Anyways, our community is comprised of 178 single-family residents. It's an over 55 community with 92% of the residents over 55 years old, some as old as 101. Our nearest home to Site 1, the current site that we have for the gravel pit, is a little less than a third of a mile. If we go through, as we support the government tank site, that will increase to almost 3 miles distance from the nearest home in Victorian Estates and government tank. We haven't experienced, or I have not heard any complaints from anyone in Victorian Estates about illnesses from silica, from dust, other than what comes off of 69. So I have asthma. I don't have any issues here. It was a lot worse in Virginia, where I came from. So a lot of this stuff is scare tactics that people are putting out. So I'd appreciate it if you all would take that into consideration, that they're scare tactics, everything they're saying about this. The other thing that I had concerns about when we started talking about the government tank was the heavy equipment that was going to be traveling on 69, either coming out from Chino Valley, Dewey, or wherever. And there was, our mind was set at ease with the proposed road that they have, what the Fains have from Site 1 to Government Tank, a private road. And you heard Mr. Thompson speak about the weight that roads can withstand. So that was kind of a relief on my mind. The other thing that I'm new to this area, I don't understand, and perhaps you can enlighten me as to why we're considering input.
Julio, thank you.
Okay. I was going to say from Country Club or Dewey, but thank you.
There's no further registered public speakers, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Clerk. I will now close the public hearing. Commissioners, I'll bring it back to you for any other questions to Mr. Norlock or Mr. Lawley. Yes, thank you, Commissioner Grossi. For Mr. Norlock or Mr. Lawley?
Mr. Lawley, again, hearing this information, I wanted to confirm the operations that are done just on the east side of Fain Park, will those be the same operations that are mirrored at this government pit site?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, not exactly. So on the existing site that's east of the park, large operation, crushing, extracting, processing, a much more impactful processing than we will have. We will have extracting and crushing over at the government tank borrow pit, but the level of processing will not happen at the new site or at the government tank site.
Understood. So blasting and crushing is not done at the current site?
I will have to look to Pete, I think. I don't want to get too much into the existing operation.
At our current operation, we do crushing. We excavate a lot of material. We do crushing. We have blasted on one occasion in the 20 years. We produce concrete, we produce asphalt at the location as well. We have a wash plant, we have a lime plant to put lime into the AB. At the new site, it will strictly be excavation and crushing and loading and hauling unless blasting becomes necessary.
Thank you both.
Vice Chair Erb, do you have a question for Mr. Lawley or Mr. Thompson or Mr. Norlock?
I'm not sure who this question would go to, but a comment was made earlier about the Hall Road, so that's what it's in reference to. You'd said the Hall Road was solely on Payne property, I believe is what I heard. Looking at my map, it looks like a portion of that road extends outside their property. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, maybe we could pull the exhibit up and just double check. We are trying to pull it up as we speak.
So looking at this,
Yeah, okay.
it's kind of hard to decipher from this, but an illustration I had it hatched out. So where it says proposed Hall Road, in the arrow, obviously. So we have the, and I'll try to read this, what is this, Black Old Canyon Highway? So as we traverse across that, we come across a small portion of, assume this county property, and then we loop over to the east side of the existing excavation pit. So that portion of the road that goes east from the existing to the edge of the proposed Hall Road area just north of the county line right there, that section, is that, am I being clear? That section, is that on Payne property?
I'm going to look back. I'm getting a head nod, yes.
It is, okay.
It either is or will be.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Vice Chair Erb. Any other questions, Commissioner? Well, this was great discussion on agenda item 7A. Thank you, Mr. Lawley. Thank you, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Norlock, and to all of the public that attended. We certainly did appreciate your comments and concerns, so thank you for being with us this evening. Agenda item 8, action items, I already closed it. 8A, election of officers. Pursuant to Town Code 13-13-010.c, the Commission shall elect its own chair and vice chair from its membership. Elections for chair and vice chair shall occur at the November Commission meeting in odd-numbered calendar years. A chair or vice chair may not consecutively serve more than 2 full-year terms. I'm sorry, more than 1 full 2-year term. A member may serve as chair or vice chair for more than 1 2-year term, so long as the terms are not consecutive. A member who serves an abbreviated term as chair or vice chair as a result of a vacancy may be elected to a 2 full-year term at the conclusion of the abbreviated term. Clerk, I'd like to show the record that Commissioner Colosimo has joined us for this agenda item, please. So our action item is to make a motion for a chair for the commission. Do we have any motion for a chair?
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion for Commissioner Erb for chair position.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Grossi. Clerk, will you please call the vote?
Commissioner Huat,
Yes.
Commissioner Grossi,
Yes.
Commissioner Colosimo,
Yes.
Vice Chair Erb,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Chairperson Griffiths.
Yes. Congratulations, Chair Erb. Next, we need to elect a vice chair for our membership. Would anybody like to make a motion for a vice chair?
Madam Chair, I would like to please make a motion for vice chair. I would like to elect Commissioner Joe Huot for the vice chair position.
Thank you, Commissioner King. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Chair Erb. Clerk, will you please call the vote?
Chairperson Griffiths,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Erb,
Yes.
Chairperson King, or I'm sorry, Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Colosimo,
Yes.
Commissioner Grassi,
Yes.
Commissioner Huot.
Yes.
If there's no further, congratulations, Vice Chair, yes. If there's no further business, we're adjourned. Thank you.